Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from your Overwatch. My name is Eddie and today we're going to be talking about supports and their place in the game. This is going to be a good one, so strap yourselves in and let's go. So there's been a lot of talk surrounding the state of supports in Overwatch 2. A lot of people felt on first impression that they felt weak comparatively to the other roles, and it's not untrue to say that they haven't had as much attention as, say, the tank line, what with hero role changes and reworks aplenty. However, in the Week 1 blog post and some interviews, Aaron and Team 4 did say that supports are dying more often than they'd like. A really crucial wording of that, by the way, that we'll return to later. And yes, Zen now has more health and can Phosrodar people with his incredibly satisfying kick. So Blizzard is definitely conscious of the state of this role. However, here's my take. Support players have been getting carried for years, and of all the roles, the power to skill trade-off has been traditionally stacked in our favour. Crazy good ults, strong kits with healing and damage a lot of the time, crowd control and even shields. We've had it so easy compared to the rest of the roles, it's not even funny. Sorry, really not sorry. Supports are not weak in Overwatch 2 either. It's the players that make them look that way, and that's a reality that we need to be able to confront and talk about sensibly without all getting mad at each other. And by that I mean you all getting mad at me for saying it. There's almost a completely ready-made argument against anybody trying to say otherwise as well, and that's how ridiculously powerful the Overwatch League support players make these heroes look. I'm just going to play in the background some highlights from last weekend's play, and it should become immediately obvious to anyone watching, hey, these Ana and Lucio characters are pretty good. And this is all happening on the previous patch, by the way, before Zen got his buffs and before Ana had her ammo count raised. Granted, Antine did have a second taken off its duration, but I still think the pros will pick her. And that's because of the power of her kit. She's simply too good not to play at that level, and the same goes for Lucio. In fact, teams would occasionally swap the Ana out for something else, but Lucio, nah fam, Speedy Boy is back like it's 2016. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Hey Eddie, you bot, we're not OWL level players, and in my game, support is really hard to play. Okay, fictitious person that I will straw man to within an inch of your fictitious life for the sake of my video, there is a massive difference between something being difficult and something being bad. Symmetra is bad in Overwatch 2. She almost is at the point of needing another rework. She doesn't have interactions with like 90% of how Overwatch 2 plays as a game. No hero in the support role is that weak. In fact, they range from playable in like 80% of skill tiers, such as Mercy, to downright meta carrying, like Lucio and Ana. I can totally understand if you say things like, support isn't fun to play right now, that I can appreciate. Likewise, if you're like, hey, where's all our new support stuff for Overwatch 2? Well, Aaron's got you. It's coming soon, TM. The next hero is probably going to be a support. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I can't wait, personally. But if the heroes themselves aren't actually weak, and good players make supports look like the best and most important characters in the game, who is left to blame? I hate to say this, but I'm afraid it's time for us to start looking in the mirror as support players. And I say that because I'm one of you. I'm not sat atop Mount Smug as Lord Content Creator dishing out scraps of home truths to you, the plebs. I'm in the muck with you. I lose my team games from the support role quite often. The only difference between me and someone who would argue supports are actually bad in this game is I actually have less of an ego about it, if you can believe that. Here's why it's us and not the heroes. Overwatch 1 taught a lot of support players some really bad habits. When the meta looks like this, you're not often that vulnerable. With 2 tanks and all the shields in the universe, a support could quite often hide behind massive health pools and just sort of generically pump heals into them, build ults together as a team, and boom, we've taken that point suddenly. In fact, it was so stacked in support players' favour, I really don't think most of us fully appreciate how hard the other roles were in the first game. Of course, good players can output more and be high rank, and players like ML7 stood out exactly because they played for impact in a more direct way, but the game kind of coddled supports for a long time. They had incredible kits and for the most part dealt with the least amount of pressure. Along with that came the actual support struggle for a lot of people in Overwatch 1. If your tanks just fed and your DPS didn't get picks, then you were kind of just Fs in the chat, reset and go again. A lot of players played the game like they were a passenger in the car, not driving it. Overwatch 2 is not that game. In all the ways that really matter, it's almost the complete opposite. Now, with 1 tank, most of which don't even have a shield, things that didn't matter as much in Overwatch 1, like where you stood as a support, now really do. The map design also plays into this. Push maps are large and flank heavy. This means teams don't bunch up in the same ways that they used to, so players are much freer to go off on their own in the pursuit of value. But if you're trying to play support in Overwatch 2, like it's Overwatch 1, then you'll be standing in the wrong place a lot lot of the time, and safety is a thing of the past. Perhaps that's why people think support sucks. I never said support isn't much harder. It is. It's way harder to not die for free and put your resources in the right place. But for the first time in forever, the impact to difficulty ratio for supports is closer to what the other roles have been living with for a very long time. Ask any DPS player what playing the game is actually like, unless they play soldier, he doesn't count. Hell, a lot of support players might also play DPS. Be honest with yourselves. How hard is the game where heals are scarce and you have tiny windows to get value? And if you die for free, guess who gets flamed first? That's right, the DPS. Every Genji main ever will tell you that. I mean, most of the time they are throwing, but that's not the point. With less stuff in the way of potential incoming damage and more angles becoming available to players through mobility and map design, you have never been as exposed as a support as you are in Overwatch 2. But here's where I'm going to win you guys back and bring it back around. That's not only true of you, the support, but every enemy you're ever going to face. They have never been more vulnerable either. So when life gives you lemons, you get where I'm going here. We live in a more brutal and punishing game state where you can die so easily, and yet, if you retrain your instincts to understand that you are a serious threat too, you can and must seek out value aggressively. I feel from watching the very best players that this is how Overwatch 2 supports are supposed to be played. For example, Lucio is god tier, absolutely top of the meta. Why? Because he not only facilitates his team moving and attacking together, but he's also, frankly, one of the best duelists in the game. Moira players have taken a lot of flack over the years for being DPS Moiras, but the truth is we'd better get a bit used to that just on every support apart from Mercy, and that actually support players who learn to play for much more direct offensive value will more than likely thrive. When a lot of content creators reviewed the beta when it first came out, including Fredo, there was this consensus that Overwatch 2 had transitioned into a much more traditional FPS kind of game, but I think what's lost in translation sometimes is that by saying that, people didn't mean, oh, it's just like COD now or something. I mean, the game is more fraggy, but that isn't a bad thing. No other role has felt this change more sharply than support. Yeah, tank got new toys to play with, but support is where the game has really changed. The support role has long been one of the most powerful in Overwatch. Now we as support players need to own our place in the game. We're not riding in the car anymore. Now, a lot of the time, we're driving it. Now, I feel like some of my takes might be of the Jimmy rustling variety, so as always, please do leave your feedback in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave us a like, it really helps us out. And I've been Eddie for your Overwatch, and I will see you guys next time.